So we'll begin seated on our bolster. And these first few exercises could also be done on a chair or on your couch, seated with your feet on the floor. Take a moment and let's find our breath. You're welcome to close your eyes. You may place a hand on your belly and begin to breathe in, noticing the movement of your diaphragm. And breathe out. Drawing air in and out through the nose. Starting to slow your breath rhythm and lengthen, taking more time to inhale and more time to exhale. You're welcome to keep your hand on your belly or gently rest your palms in your lap. We're going to do samavriti, or box breathing, also called four-part breathing. Samavriti is same, fluctuation. So we'll inhale, pause, exhale, pause, and that's the 4 parts, making the idea of a box. Inhale, fill up your lungs. Pause for a moment with the lungs full. Exhale, and pause again. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause, on your own rhythm. On your next inhale, begin to lengthen the pause or increase the space and time between inhale and exhale. You may begin counting. Inhale for 4 counts, pause for 4 counts with the lungs full of air, exhale for 4 counts, and pause again with the lungs empty. Each part of the 4-part breath moving towards equal length. So you spend a little more time in the pauses at the top and bottom of your breath. Do 2 or 3 more rounds of breath. 4 parts. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. After your next exhale, gently blink your eyes open. Let's begin a little movement for our neck. Look to the right and notice your chin almost stacking over your shoulder. Shoulders remain wide. Then look over to the left shoulder, bringing your chin and your nose more in line with your shoulder. Cruise over to the right. And back to the left. Now we'll look to the right again and gently use your right hand on your cheek or your chin to encourage just a little more rotation. You can take your left hand to your shoulder, so your chin and shoulder very gently are moving in opposite directions. And that very light pressure with your hands encourages range of motion. Then return to center and look the other direction. You're so gentle with the arms here. Place the left hand on the cheek, and it's just placing the hand on the cheek can be enough. Then place your right hand on your pectoral, kind of right by the shoulder, and your cheek and shoulder very softly are moving away from each other. And then back to center. Lean your right ear toward your right shoulder. And you're still generally looking forward at first. We sometimes move the chin a little bit, and that's okay. And then up and over, lean your left ear to your left shoulder. When we begin, we're just using the weight of the head and gravity. Inhale, up and over, right ear to right shoulder again. You can engage your arms, kind of tenting your fingers. For a little more intensity, you can turn your left thumb up or even palm up, and that activates the scalenes and some of the other muscles of your neck. Gently release the hand and lift your head up and over to the other shoulder, resting left ear toward left shoulder or reaching left ear to left shoulder. The right hand can gently tent the floor, or you can rotate your thumb up and maybe continue to palm up. If you start experiencing intensity in that neck space, breathe. Release your hand, bring your head back to neutral. And once again, ear to shoulder on the right. You can do that same gesture with your left arm, palm up. You can, optional, rest the weight of your right arm very gently on your head. It's not the whole weight of your arm. You're not pulling. It's just a light pressure. That might be too much. Just reaching the head away from your hand might be plenty. Release the hand, bring your head up and over to the other side, and leaning ear to shoulder. You can add the right hand gesture if you choose, palm up. You could add the left hand, just the weight of your forearm. If it doesn't feel quite right, back off just a step. And then release your hand, bring your head back up. Lift your chin and look to the ceiling. And then look behind yourself a little more. Then look forward again. Tuck your chin and look down. Imagine you're trying to see your belly button. Look up again. Exposing the throat, moving your chin away from your collarbones. You can even slide your bottom jaw forward, kind of jutting the teeth out. And once again, look forward and down. And as we've done before, let's look forward. Here we're looking directly forward. Take your hands behind your head. You're framing the occipital ridge, that bony landmark in the back of your skull is kind of right between your hands. Press your head into your hands. So I'm energetically moving my head backwards, retracting the chin. So you're double chin asana, if you will. But you're flattening out the cervical spine, getting a little stretch through those muscles of the back of the neck, spinous capitis, erectors, and your breathing. Let your hands slide down to the front of your chest, and you're gently pulling down on the skin and muscles of your chest as you lift your chin. Exposing the throat, you might move your head side to side to isolate those side neck muscles just a little bit and still breathe. You're welcome anytime to reconnect to 4-part breathing. And gently release. Take a moment to look all around your room. And look with your eyes and head. So you're using less of the torso and more of your neck range of motion, kind of like an owl. If there's any sticky places, you can do a little repetitive motion to iron out that stickiness. Let's do the 6 directions of the spine. So if you're seated, you can change the cross of your legs just for a little variation, or you can change how you're sitting if you want to straddle the block. You can sit on a chair or on a couch. But you're sitting up tall with the hips grounded. We'll move the spine in 6 directions. Starting with flexion and extension. Your hands can be on your knees. Inhale, extend forward, letting the chest rise up, looking toward the sky. Then reverse that shape, dome the spine, letting the chest move backwards, the belly button move backwards, and you look toward the navel. Inhale as you extend. Exhale as you flex. This one may feel really nice to integrate breath and movement, letting the breath sort of inform the movement. Usually feels good to inhale as you extend and then exhale as you flex. Though you're welcome to change that, trying out an exhale to extend and an inhale to flex. It's a different experience. But truly, the inhale promotes extension of the spine, and the exhale promotes flexion. Return to neutral. You're sitting right up on your sit bones that are rounded. Your ischial-tuberosities are like a rocking chair. So you're sitting right on the apex. Take your left arm up and side bend to the right. You can catch your weight on your right hand for a moment. We'll stay here for a minute. Maybe not a full minute, but a few breaths. Take an inhale. As you exhale, turn your palm forward and draw the elbow toward your rib cage. So you're just sliding the elbow down. And then re-extend that arm overhead. Exhale, draw the elbow down. And re-extend. One more time for the elbow. And re-extend. Use your breath, a little core strength, and maybe your right hand to press up to vertical and release the left hand. Second side. Inhale the right arm up. Laterally flex your spine to the left. Now we'll do that same motion for the shoulder, kind of opening up through the side and through the shoulder girdle. As you exhale, draw the elbow down, and as you inhale, rise up. If your breath doesn't match my cue, that's absolutely fine. It's an exhale to draw down, and an inhale to re-extend. One more time. Use the inhale to rise back up, and we'll replace the hand. Now let's try a twist each direction. Take your left hand to the outside of your right leg, palm up. Palm up encourages an open chest, and your other hand can be on the floor or the bolster. Gently rotate toward the right, looking over the shoulder as you go. Take a breath in. And a breath out. Unwind. And second side. Right hand, palm up over the left thigh. The left hand can be slightly behind you as you rotate. And there's a little neck stretch happening as you look over your shoulder. So that spinal twist continues all the way up through the cervical spine to the crown of your head. One more inhale. And exhale, unwind. And we'll do a little free movement here, a little improvisation if you will. This can be a circle, and I'm kind of feeling my hips shift on the floor. You could do another wiggle that feels good. It might be a shoulder movement. You're breathing as you explore and really allowing whatever movement happens to happen. Maybe you just rock forward and back. Maybe it's side to side. Maybe you return to a neck stretch. An opportunity to just explore on your own before we transition to our next shape. Our next pose is Pigeon. And we're doing a modified version of Pigeon. So we're going to lay on our backs. And before you go, I'll show the setups. One setup, if you have a couch or a chair near, I have a chair I can demonstrate, you can place your feet on the chair or couch, and we're essentially taking this shape, a figure four with the legs. So this is one version. You can do that same thing against a wall. Place your hips near to the wall, or actually not too near, and lay on one side as you bring your feet up, and then we'll take that cross-leg shape. So that's another variation. The variation we'll do on our backs, you may choose to use a strap. We'll take the right ankle over left knee, and now you can join and set up your version, either on a chair with your left leg, against the wall with your left leg, or on the back. Right ankle crosses over thigh, then bring your legs up toward your chest. Both hands hold on to the left thigh. If you can't quite reach the thigh, you could use a strap and loop it around the leg, either just the thigh or the thigh and shin together, and draw the lower unit toward the upper unit with your strap. Breathe in and out. Imagine your pelvis widening. After your next exhale, place your left foot back on the earth. And if it feels good, you can rock your legs side to side with that ankle crossed over. It might feel good to move a little before we transition. As you're ready, uncross your right leg, and we'll set up the other side. So your the right foot can now go on a chair or against the wall. Your left leg crosses over the thigh. Gently lift the right leg, and you can hold on to just the femur or femur and shin together. Notice the parts of your back, in particular the parts of your pelvis that touch the floor. If you can, imagine breathing into those spaces that touch the earth. On your next exhale, gently release the right foot And as we did before, you can rock your hips side to side just a little if that feels good. If it feels wonky, you can just uncross your legs, as we all will do in just a moment. Staying here on our backs, bring your right knee into your chest. You can hold on to the knee with your hand or loop the strap around the knee. Extend your left leg long. Your left foot is resting on the floor. You can flex your left foot. Pretend you're standing on something with your left leg as you gently fold the right leg in toward your chest. Breathe in and breathe out. Try moving your knee a little toward your shoulder. So you're still folding the knee in toward the chest. You're just sliding that knee out to the side a little bit. You may just hold it with one hand. And then gently release, right foot to the floor, and bring your left foot back up. Other side, hug your left knee in toward your chest, extend your right leg long. The right foot is flexed, heel resting on the floor as the left knee folds in. This pose is a single leg stretch, that's one name for it. It's also called Pawanamuktasana. In Sanskrit, that translates to wind relieving pose, which implies the purpose of this, it's excellent for digestion. Gently release your left foot and bring your right foot up to meet. Now let's find the strap. Taking your strap, one end in each hand, loop the strap around the sole of your right foot. You can slide your hands down to the ends so you're almost resting your elbows on the floor. The knee does not have to be straight. Actually, I think with my pant leg up you can see a little better. My knee is actually a little bent here, but I'm kicking up through the heel of my right foot. Now, you can experience a couple things here. You might be feeling a calf stretch with your foot flexed like this. You might be feeling a hamstring stretch, the back of the leg. For a moment, you're welcome to take both straps in your left hand. Use your right hand and very gently press your femur, that thigh bone, back just a little bit toward the end of your mat. It's very gentle, and you're not pressing on the knee, absolutely. You're just making some space in the hip by pressing that femur down. And then you can release. And it's just 10% pressure on the thigh. Take another breath in. As you breathe out, bend and straighten your leg 2 times, just to mobilize that knee and hamstring. And then we'll release the right leg. Loop your strap around the left foot. One hand on each side of the strap, kicking your heel up toward the sky. And you can gradually come into this pose. You don't have to end up straight right away. In fact, I really recommend a bent knee to begin, with your hip on the floor. And that bent knee working towards straight, that's kind of what will open up the back of the leg, both the calf and the hamstring. Breathe in and out. You can take both straps in your right hand and use your left hand with just 10% pressure on the thigh. Just to make a little space in the hip. It almost feels like you're hollowing out the front of your hip socket. Remember, not pressing on the knee, the femur bone. Bend the left knee a couple times, bringing some blood flow and energy back into the leg. And unloop your strap, gently release. Take a moment, yogis, and we're going to open up through the shoulders. You may prefer to use a pillow overhead. We're going to take our arms above head and hold elbows, or gently rest our elbows together. If your arms don't comfortably touch the floor, you might use your pillow just at the top of your head as a place to rest the forearms. Notice if your rib cage lifted off the mat. If you can, try to exhale and let the ribs settle back down to earth. Then you can imagine breathing into your upper chest, even into the armpits, to open up that space. Last inhale and exhale. Gently release your hands. We'll roll to the right side and we'll transition. Coming back to a seated position, we have a couple variations here. In this next seated position, you can come back to a bolster. And just for variety, if you'd like, you can straddle the bolster and take a version of Vajrasana, so a knees bent variation. If this is too much, if there's pressure on your knees or pressure on the fronts of your ankles, you can cross your legs in front as we've done before, or you're welcome to do this on a chair or on a couch, any seated position where your spine is lengthened. I should have mentioned, have your strap near to you. I said that because I wasn't sure where mine was. Gomukhasana, or half Gomukhasana, cow face pose. We'll take the strap in our right hand and let the strap hang down your back. And I'm holding the strap with my palm facing out. Now the other hand, I'll slide behind my back with the palm out. So the strap that's above head is facing, the palm is facing forward, the strap that's behind my palm is out. And now here you can start to bring your hands together, just crawling up or down the strap as you will. Now what tends to happen is the rib cage moves forward and your head moves forward, and you kind of sometimes disalign or malign the spine. Gently draw the rib cage in and move your chin back so the spine is vertical. Then you can gently draw elbows back behind you, so both elbows are moving back to open up the front of this armpit and the back of this armpit, the shoulder girdle. Take another breath and gently release. First the bottom arm, then the top arm, and we'll trade. Take strap in left hand, and we'll gently let the strap drape down the back. Other hand is palm out as you slide your hand back and find the strap, maybe. There it is. Then walk your hands a little closer together. And notice if your rib cage moved forward, gently draw those the rib cage together in the center. And the same thing for the head. It might want to jut forward. You can gently retract the back of your head almost into your left hand. Then breathe. Last inhale. Exhale, gently release. And now one more for the shoulders. Take your arms out to the side, and this is just a preparation for the pose. Even here though, you may feel a little stretch across the upper chest or upper back. Take your right hand under the left and just hold your shoulders. So you're giving yourself a big hug, then squeeze in. So it's kind of like I'm pulling in on myself. Now breathe. Imagine you can breathe into your fingertips, into that space, into the spaces where you're touching your back. After your next exhale, unlock your arms and take them out to the side again. Feeling that width through the chest. Now just for, if you're a typist, flex your hand, or not even if you're a typist. If you use a computer in your life, which is everyone, flexing your palms might be incredibly intense. Match that intensity with breath. Then we'll take left hand under right, eagle. Arms bind together and they kind of naturally land, then squeeze them together like you're boa constrictoring upon yourself. I've just made boa constrictoring a word. And one more inhale, expanding perhaps into your fingertips. And gently unlock your arms. And we'll do a little bit of the opposite. Take your hands behind you for an interlace. And gently reach your knuckles back or down. The arms don't have to straighten, but lift your chest. So there's this opening through the shoulders as you look up. As you exhale, gently release. Baddha Konasana. If you're on the bolster, you can stay. Release your legs if they're underneath you. If they're crossed, you can release them so the soles of your feet are together. And last week we talked about the use of our spine in yoga. Modern life wants to concave the body. And even our favorite things, reading, cooking, they do that. So we're working to maintain width through the upper body as we hinge forward in Baddha Konasana. So soles of the feet are together, you're sitting up tall, and the movement comes from your hip joint as you lean forward. It's almost like you're leading with the belly button to bring your spine forward. The head might want to fall down or drape. Keep the neck muscles slightly engaged. You can imagine you're looking over a cliff. You're welcome to consider 4-part breathing, Samavriti. On your next inhale, bring your torso up. Do a little movement for your knees, just to mobilize that hip socket, and we will do this one a second time. For the second variation, either take your feet a little farther apart, which is, that's what I'm going to try this time, or you can bring them a little closer to you. Send a little energy up the spine, then lean forward. So you're kind of cantilevering your body from the hip joint. And you may only go a few degrees forward. You're trying to prevent this part of the spine, the thoracic spine, from moving. Another breath in. And a breath out. As you inhale, rise back up. And you can use hands to bring your legs back together. We're going to set up Sphinx. So most of the props can be set aside. We actually need no props for Sphinx. Laying on our belly. We'll come onto the forearms. Now in Sphinx, which also is Saturday morning cartoon asana, but it's not just Saturday morning cartoons, we're using our elbows slightly. So the elbows are like conveyor belts drawing backwards, so the energy of your elbows is moving back toward your hips. Then imagine you've created I'm mixing metaphors here, so I apologize. You're sewing now, and you're going to thread the needle, and your shoulders and head make the needle, and your heart is the thread that's threading through the eye of the needle, your upper arms. So the energy of your elbows going back and your chest moving forward. Take another breath in. Gently release. Look to one side. The backs of your hands can be beside you, palms up. You can wiggle your hips a little if there's any tension in the low back. And just let the front body melt into the floor. As you breathe here, your front body is restricted because you're laying on your belly, which puts a little more emphasis on back body breathing. Can you imagine your back space rising like bread? And it's on its first proof, so you have to punch it down and let it rise again. Let's set up one more Sphinx. Coming to the forearms. Engage the arm energy, drawing back as your chest threads forward. You may notice the back space, your shoulder blades are kind of like sliding doors. Again, this is a very mixed metaphor. Sliding together as the chest is opening. You're sewing, you're coloring, watching Saturday morning cartoons, and sliding doors. Or you could ignore all of my nonsense and breathe. On your next exhale, gently release and look to the other side. You might have naturally looked to one side and then the other side feels just a little wonky, and that's fine. Let your front body melt into the floor as you breathe into your back body. If imagery resonates with you, for example, the image of bread rising in my back, when I really think of that image, it kind of changes how I breathe. So if an image resonates with you in that way, if it has a physical change, let that imagery, hold that imagery strong in your mind's eye. And allow your body to be affected by the intention of the mind. Transitioning from here into child's pose, balasana. You can come onto forearms and gently glide your hips back. A few setup options for child's pose. So a classic version of child's pose, your knees are together, hands are beside your feet and your forehead's on the floor. There are modifications, of course. You can widen your knees and lengthen your arms out. There are still modifications. I've discovered that many people have maybe tight ankles, and this hurts the front of your ankles. If that's you, you can roll up the edge of your mat. What is this? This is a blanket. You can roll up a blanket, or you can roll up the edge of your mat if you don't have a blanket handy, and place that under your ankles, and that takes the pressure off that deep plantar flexion of the ankle. If you find you have lots of pressure in the hips, if this is a lot of hip flexion for you, straddle a bolster. This is sometimes I really like this variation. It gives my hips a place to rest while I'm in child's pose. Then, one final option, when you start to bring your forehead towards the floor and you're like, wow, the floor is really far away, you can use a prop to bring the floor a little closer to you. Now, if all of this puts, regardless of setup, if this puts too much pressure on your knees, we can invert the shape. And you can lay on your back using hands or a strap to draw the legs toward your torso. You've most likely chosen your setup, and once you find your setup, enjoy a few breaths there. You still have access to back body breathing, and you could imagine yeasty bread. You can also picture your front body expanding as you breathe, or even the sides of your ribs. The movement of the breath makes the pose dynamic, so it's changing as you remain here, even though what I see or what others might see is static. You're in a pose, but on the inside there's a lot happening through the breath. Enjoy another breath in and a breath out. Gently bring your torso up. Let's set our prop aside. And we'll transition once again to our back for our last two poses. Let's see, we'll need either, you may or may not choose to use a block or bolster for Setu Bandhasana, shoulder bridge. Once you lay down, we'll return to the feet on the floor with knees up shape. Pause for a moment, letting your hips, ribs, and head be heavy on the floor. Shoulder bridge, Setu Bandhasana. You'll balance on your shoulders and feet. Press into your hands as you lift your hips. This shifts your weight to the shoulders. Most of the weight is on your shoulders, not the neck. You're pressing into the feet as you lift the hips. If it's available, you can do a little rock side to side to bring your hands closer together. Maybe they interlace behind you, maybe not, but you press your arms down, which helps lift your chest a little more. One more inhale. If your arms were interlaced, gently unclasp as you lower your hips back down. Pause for a moment with your hips on the floor. The first time you set up this twist, it may sound confusing, but I'll try to use very clear words. We're going to do a supine spinal twist. Place your right foot on the floor. The left knee is still long. I'm trying to demonstrate standing. Use your left foot to lift your hips and scoot them to the side. The knee drapes across the body. Follow along step by step, otherwise you'll get lost. So lay on your back. Place your right foot on the floor. Use your right foot to lift your hips and swing them to the right. So now you have more weight on your left hip. Drape the knee across the body. So don't open the knee, pull the knee across the body. There you go. And you move the hips to the side so you're on your left hip. And the left hip more or less aligns with your nose. The right arm can extend out like a wing. Enjoy another breath in. As you exhale, gently return to your back. Use your foot to bring your hips back to neutral and exchange legs. So your right leg is long, left foot is on the floor. Use your left foot to lift the hips, swing them to the left. So you're kind of pointing your butt to the left side, you're on the right hip, and already the knee is falling across the body, left knee going across to the right. You can use your right hand to give just gentle pressure on the knee. Your left arm can extend out like a wing. And you can look to the left if you choose. After your next exhale, gently return to your back. Realign your pelvis and hug both knees. You can keep the knees close together or let them widen toward your shoulders. You could reach for your feet if you choose. This last shape is a playful last shape. You can roll side to side or move a little if that feels good. You can extend your legs. You could rock and roll forward and back. There's a few variations, or you could just stay still. We're ready to set up for Savasana. Take your pillow close to your hips. So it's going to end up under your knees when you lay down, but it's kind of supporting your upper legs as you lay down. Your arms can be down by your side or a little more out to the side if you prefer, but the palms are up. And it is a chilly January day, so if you need a blanket, you can lay a blanket over your body. Acknowledge the parts of your body that are connected to earth. If you went through those body parts quickly, go through again, noticing each space that touches the floor, and breathe into those spaces. Perhaps on the exhale, allowing the body to become heavier. For the next few minutes, Notice if your mind drifts, if thoughts and feelings take over. Bring your attention back to your breath. 4-part breathing may be a way to help keep the mind connected to your breath. A reminder, Samavriti is inhale, pause, exhale, pause. Gently bring your attention back to your space. Deepen your inhale and exhale. Move the distal points of the body, fingers and toes, hands and feet. Eventually, stretch arms overhead. And roll to your right side. Let the weight of your body rest on earth. the right side absorbing, the left side sinking into the right. As efficiently as possible, with minimal energy, press up to seated. You might slide back onto the bolster, just for a moment. Finding an easy, cross-legged position, Sukhasana. Letting your hips ground, letting your spine be long. Close your eyes for a moment. Reconnect to your breath. As you exhale, bring your hands together toward the center of your heart. This gesture unites the right and left sides of the body. It also unites the vertical axis. As we close our practice, send gratitude intentionally towards someone or something. Hold the image of them or it in your mind's eye. And your thoughts, like airwaves, travel through the air, or your thoughts like sound travel through the air toward this person or thing. Then bow your head to meet your heart, acknowledging the work you've done to unite your mind, body, and spirit. Share that sense of unity with the world. I bow to you. Namaste.